is a step-by-step on how to replace a bad valve stem. And what I'll do is I'll explain to you what we've got here first. This is actually the last of the cheapo valve stems that came with these rims when we purchased them. And as you can see here, it's actually made of a very soft silicone type rubber, and they dry rot like there's no tomorrow. So this being the last one, it's not leaking yet, but since we've already had two of them strand us on the side of the road for a short time, this one's getting done. What I'm doing right now is, I'll show you, I don't know if you can see that, I've made a Schrader valve removal tool because I couldn't find the actual one that I have. So what we're going to do before it gets noisy from all the air rushing out, we're going to remove the Schrader valve from the valve stem and allow the air to escape the wheel. You don't want to try and never ever try and break a bead with the tire fully inflated. That's both stupid and dangerous. That's about 32 plus pounds of air pressure coming out all at once. So there we go. Now we wait, we let the air out, and then we'll get to breaking the bead. This is much faster than pushing the little button and trying to let the air out. And you also want to make sure that you're wearing safety glasses when you do this, and that you stand back a good distance once the Schrader valve is removed. There could be condensation or dust, debris inside the tire that you don't want hitting you in the face or the eyes. Okay, so now the boring part is over. I'm also going to remove this. This will allow the air to come out when we actually put pressure on the tire. If I can find... Here we are. Yeah. I have no idea what these are for, but they work great for removing and installing valve stems. As you can see, it ripped right off. I mean, you can see where it's already been broken for quite some time. They're junk. They're cheap. But they have a nice shiny chrome cap, and we're going to save that. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, since I don't actually have, and I'm sure most people don't have a tire machine at their house, unless by chance they're really lucky. If any of my family members are watching, Christmas time just around the corner, birthday's closer. Anyways, if you don't have a tire machine, you can do this. Get a good solid heavy vehicle, preferably with four-wheel drive because it makes it easier to crawl up the board, but you don't necessarily need it. Position the board like so, because you don't want to put uneven pressure on the tire, chance of breaking belts and stuff like that inside the tire itself. Plus it makes it easier to crawl up on the rubber. And then you just put it in drive and slowly creep up while your camera woman guides you.
Hold on. Move the tire so that the board doesn't hit the edge of the rim. Alright, a little bit. A little bit. Hold on. Alright, it's moved. Try again. Hold on, hold on. And there we go, back it up.
So, as you can see, the tire regained its shape. These are just scuff marks. There hasn't actually been any damage done to the tire. This is no different than if you were to use an actual bead breaker on a tire machine, except that it costs a little bit in gas. Now, I'm going to try and retrieve the piece of valve stem that unfortunately is still left in the tire. I think, actually I'm positive it just fell through. Lovely. No. Actually, because that pinches my fingers. Okay, so good. Okay, so take two. This is the bottom of the valve stem, and this is what actually holds it in the rim. Aside from obviously the air pressure, but this bottom portion seals on the inside of the rim, and then as you can see on the new one, there's a slight lip there that holds it in place on the top of the rim, and the actual pressure for inside the tire creates a seal here. Now what happened was when I pulled the old valve stem out, you could see clearly that it broke in half. This piece, I tried to grab it before it snuck inside the tire. Unfortunately, I wasn't fast enough. So we just spent the last 20-30 minutes or so fishing it out. It was like a really bad game of teeter, trying to get that sucker to fall, between the bead and the rim. So what I'm going to show you now is how to install your new valve stem. And you have to be very careful, otherwise you'll drop it inside the rim, and then life will suck at that point. I'll put it that way. So the idea is you push the tire down far enough, and with my skinny butt, it's a little difficult for me, but you get it in place, and then the bead of the rim, hopefully, will kind of hold it in place for you. As you can see here, there's the bottom, there's the bead of the tire, and you want to wiggle that a little bit just to kind of get it snug in there. Just hold that in place so it doesn't slip in. If I can find my handy little tool. This has a coating on it, so it's not going to scratch the rim, plus there's not really any sharp edges. So you just want to grab onto it. And what I like about this thing, this isn't the traditional tool that's used. Normally they have like about a 12-inch bar, maybe it might be a little shorter than that, but at the end it threads on here and has a swivel on it, so you just thread it on, swivel it back, and then like so, same principle applies, you pull the valve stem up through. And hopefully if you did it right, nothing will be damaged, and your valve stem is now in place, and you're ready to reseat the bead. In this case, we had to break both sides so that we could move the tire around to get the bottom half of the pesky old valve stem that's been a thorn in our side for so long. So it's going to be a little bit different than
See it, the tire's heavy.
It's going to be a little bit different than the previous ones we've done. So at this point, I want to stress again some safety. This is very dangerous. You're applying pressure to this tire, and if you have never seated a bead, they pop. I mean, that's the best way I can explain it. They make a loud popping noise. So what I'm going to do is very slowly apply pressure, air pressure, to inflate the tire so that the bead will actually inflate or seat slower. Some helpful tips: if you do take the tire all the way off, get inside here and make sure that it's very clean. Use a soapy water solution to lubricate everything. Don't use these, it'll actually eat away at the rubber of the tire. And they also do make some sealants, like there's Hug, there's Bead Buddy or something. There's a bunch of different aerosol cans that, you know, it's a sealant, it'll lubricate, and then it actually dries to seal any minor imperfections in the rim, or, you know, in the bead of the rim. At this point, pardon the noise because the air compressor is probably going to fire up, and I'm going to reseat this bead. Again, safety. So go slow. It doesn't take much pressure to seat a bead on a clean rim. If you're having difficulties, just kind of massage the tire around. The best thing is, and I need to find a block that I can use, or in this case, an old paint can. Get the tire up off the ground, set the hub on it, and just give it a shove. This is going to help seat the bottom bead, which is a tricky one. The top one is easy, you just pull up on it a little bit and it's going to seat itself. Let's try this again. You can hear the change in the airflow. It doesn't sound like anything's leaking. You can hear the tire. Hear the creaking? The tire is actually moving. There's air pressure inside here now. Just keep your fingers clear and keep in mind this air pressure is very dangerous. So we're going slow, we're letting the tire do its thing. If you're doing this in your backyard, you're not trying to be fast anyways, because you're not making flat rate. So you can take a little extra time and be safe. At this point, I'm going to flip it over. You can see all the way around, it's flush. It's flush.